More than a review, this is me just talking about my favorite scent profile. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I am Daniel, today we're talking fragrances, and this is a practical review of Tom Ford's Bois Marocain. These reviews are for fragrances I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears in many situations, and are meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances, but I don't really like to go into details about notes and accords, as I don't think that they help the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. I genuinely like this fragrance, I truly do, but I was a little bit back and forth about deciding to feature a review of this, and this is not necessarily due to the scent being difficult to describe or anything like that, quite the opposite actually. This is very simple, very straightforward, and I just don't have much to say about it. If you didn't know, this is actually one of my favorite scent profiles ever, and if I were to design a signature scent specifically for me, it would be something along the lines of this, maybe combined with my fragrance options. And again, I was inspired when I was wearing this. This one here is 423, is Melinka, and this is a limited edition fragrance from Patagonia. I got this as a gift from a person who went to Patagonia, and I absolutely love it. This is kind of exactly my signature scent profile, or something that I would like to wear on a signature scent basis. It's absolutely beautiful. But featuring this, putting this on, wearing it, and really enjoying it, really put in light how much of a rare thing it is. The company does not ship to Europe. This is actually a limited edition, as I just mentioned, and it's just really not sustainable to see this as a signature scent. So I started looking around in my collection and my shelf if I actually owned anything that featured grossly the same notes as Melinka, when my eyes fell on Bois Marocain. This fragrance, I've had it for a long time. I haven't worn it a very long time, and it was just hiding there in the shadows. I've been putting in a ton of wears these days, and I've been really enjoying it. Does it have drawbacks? Yes. Does it have upsides? Absolutely yes. Is it the best Tom Ford private collection? No, by any stretch of the imagination. But it's still fun, and let's talk about it. But before talking about this fragrance specifically and its scent profile, I was hinting around that this fragrance here and this other one, Melinka by 423, both possess a very specific smell that I would almost regard as my ideal scent profile, something that I would want my signature scent to be like. So what is this scent profile? What does this smell like? How is it composed? So basically, my ideal scent profile would be something like a nice, realistic resinous wood at the core with a little bit of a backbone of smoky incense, and on the top some very beautiful, almost mentholated greenery. This comes very close. Melinka is almost perfect. I have other stuff which is roughly in the same ballpark that I'll feature later. But ultimately, I think that you can categorize this scent profile as enoki. And enoki is like the Japanese forest. And a lot of those scent profiles there really combine woodiness with a little bit of an incense base, with a little bit of a top greenness. Another fragrance that might have a shot at having that specific scent profile could be Eucalyptus 20 by Le Labo. That one there I smelled in a shop in the official Le Labo boutique. I sprayed it on my hand, and it was instant love. And it has been on my list ever since. I just like the smell of freshly cut wood. I like the smell of sawdust, of a sawmill. I like the resinous aspect of fresh wood. I love the way houses in Switzerland smell. And I'm also a huge fan of incense, so a nice smoky base to wrap everything up is my ideal thing. Another fragrance that I'm a huge fan of, which covers pretty much all of those notes and has a semi-similar scent profile, but makes it a lot more darker and a lot more richer, is Amberchiso by Diesendurga. This is absolutely beautiful. I love smelling this. I love wearing this. It's such a zen experience. It really brings me to the forest. And this one here might actually be one of the more traditionally Japanese-inspired fragrances. It's absolutely beautiful. I will not feature this in the options because, as I said before, it's a little bit more dense. It doesn't really compare to Bois Marocain, but this is beautiful, and it's a strong candidate for the stuff I like. And at this point while watching this video, if you're still watching, you might be asking yourself, what's the point of this whole preamble? Why is he talking about other fragrances and not Bois Marocain, which is actually the fragrance mentioned in the video title? Well, it all comes down to what I said at the start of the video. I truly enjoy wearing this. I really like the scent profile, but I'm not keen on talking about it. I'm not keen on reviewing it. This fragrance doesn't excite me. There's something in here which is missing the mark completely. This on paper should be my ultimate scent profile, should be my signature scent, but I'm not compelled to yell it out of the sky. I like it. Every time I pick it up, I'm like, wow, this smells really good. And yet it misses the mark on something. I'm kind of hoping that this review will shed as much light for you as it will for me. But before talking about the scent profile and wear experience, let's cover, as per usual, the presentation. When it comes to presentation, Tom Ford fragrances in general are really nothing to write home about, but when it comes to the private line, everything becomes underwhelming very, very fast. Everything falls apart very, very quickly. From afar, these bottles look really, really great. I like the design, I like the lines. Everything looks super elegant, very sophisticated and classy in a little bit of a minimalistic way. But as soon as you get close, as soon as you pick one of these bottles up, everything falls apart. Everything just crumbles under your own eyes. These fragrances have some of the most underwhelming presentation per price that I've ever came across. The caps feel extremely cheap. They're made out of plastic, which is not an issue per se. Some plastics can feel very high quality, but this is definitely not the case. These feel hollow, they feel light, they're not confidence inspiring, and the quality of the plastic really comes across when you try to clean these. Even with a paper towel, even when trying to dust them off, you'll put in micro scratches. It's just such a pity. And I'm definitely not saying that these caps should have been made from glass, although it would have been awesome, but something with a little bit more density, with a little bit more resilience, something a little bit harder would have totally sufficed. Anyway, on top of the cap, you get a little bit of a plaque, and it's not a plaque, it's just a plain sticker. This one here too, by the way, scratches super easily. The cap slides onto the bottle with a friction-based action. Let's call it friction-based because there's barely any friction. Something that really annoys me about the design of the cap is that they rotate super easily. And when the cap is rotated not perfectly, it just looks bad on the bottle. This is the type of stuff that is often overlooked, and it might sound completely trivial, but it really shows me that the brand is not on point with their branding, with their marketing, and with their identity. Anyway, down to the bottle, following the trend that these products look absolutely terrible up close. The sticker, the labeling is awful. It's badly stuck on, and it's actually really crooked. And this bottle is original. I unboxed it, and it's such a shame that quality control issues on such luxury products exist. The bottles, the presentation in general is awful. And also, I forgot to touch upon the atomizers. They're also not good. The Tom Ford atomizers, specifically for the signature line, are some of the worst in the business. For the private line, they're a little bit better, but nothing to write home about. But by now, with the presentation completely tarnished by every other aspect, even with the best atomizer ever, I probably could not be skewed into a positive opinion. Let's give this a couple sprays, maybe even 3. This is a beautiful scent, by the way. I've been wearing it as my scent of the day. And as I said before, the fragrance is really great. I really like the notes. I like the feeling. I like the balance. I like everything about it. Anyway, going back to the presentation, the one thing I have to applaud Tom Ford is with the 30 ml option. More brands should definitely feature something like this to allow users which own a lot of fragrances to not be pigeonholed into buying 50 ml or even 100 ml. 30 ml is a very welcome addition. I have another 30 ml, which is Neroli Portofino. I enjoy the format. They're so portable, they're so cute, they're really nicely priced, even in the private line, so no complaints there. Speaking of price, these fragrances are not cheap, especially if you go retail. And you might be saying, well, who buys Tom Ford retail? The point being is that independently of the actual price you might find these at discounters, the retail price is set by the brand, and that is a brand statement. It's a shameful thing that the brand expects subpar, lackluster products like this, and I'm not talking about the fragrance, but there's an argument there too, to be sold at that big of a premium. These are sold as luxury items, and when you compare them with other luxury brands like Louis Vuitton, which people completely shit on constantly, it's just mind-boggling. Obviously, no one is buying these at retail, but still, they're placed on the market that way. And Tom Ford should have a good, long look at their line. They should be upping their game substantially. But let's keep it positive and let's go back to optimism when talking about the scent profile we're experienced for Tom Ford's Bois Marocain. What does this actually smell like? To put it very, very simply, this is a beautiful, balanced, woody scent. It's very masculine, it's very dynamic. It has a lot of dynamic range. The tone range of this is exceptionally well tailored. There are bright tops in the form of beautiful oily greens. There's a beautiful rich mid with this really realistic woodiness. And then there's a nice smoky base which just wraps everything up together. As I said before, this is pretty much my ideal scent profile. I really like the calmness of it. I like the imagery. It's so zen and evocative. Actually, let me back up. This fragrance is really not narrative at all. It doesn't really transport me anywhere. But it just puts me in a very, very calm state. It puts me in a very optimistic, very positive attitude. This is the power of this fragrance. This is the power of this scent profile, and I really, really like it. But let me try to go into a little bit more detail. Let me try to break it down a little bit more. Maybe I'll be made aware of that missing piece, which is making this scent not completely click for me. So in the opening, the greenness is very, very apparent. I really like it. It smells kind of like pine. It smells like pine needles. It smells like the green part of a tree. It's very realistic, and it's maybe blending in with this woodiness even in the top. And the green aspect in here is very balanced. It doesn't come across as overly synthetic or overdone. It actually comes across as fairly natural smelling. It's not super bright, but it has this mentholated, energizing aspect, typical of pine needles, maybe cedar needles, maybe even the cypress. It's very specific. It has a little bit of oiliness, which is almost resembling rosemary and some sort of cooking herb. But it's very well tuned. It's so natural smelling. That's what I call it. This fragrance in general really smells beautifully natural. It smells like a sawmill. It smells like a wooden house. It's really great in that regard. And it's this woody component, this woody heart of the fragrance, which is completely stealing the show. Once again, it comes across as very natural, very realistic. It smells like a freshly cut wooden board laid upon you. It smells like the wood section at a Home Depot. And it's weird because it's abstract, but also very perfumey. That's the magic of it. It comes across as realistic yet wearable at the same time. This is not like one of the options that I'm going to be showcasing, namely Arso, which comes across as more of a smell. This is actually a perfume. It smells manly, almost in a stereotypical way, but the woodiness is incredibly well depicted. And the incense base really comes in, wraps everything up, fills in the gaps, and beautifully connects this incredibly realistic woody midtone to the beautiful, energizing green top notes. And if you're not a fan of incense, fear not. The incense in here is actually fairly subtle. It's more of a contour to the scent. I might be picking it up because I really like incense and I know all of the facets of incense, and maybe I'm especially sensitive to incense, but it's not front and center. It's more of a background component, which is adding a lot of character, and it adds to this feeling of tranquility. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the whole fragrance and its scent profile. Very easy to deconstruct, very simple and straightforward to understand, and yet it doesn't necessarily completely click for me. There's something which is missing. What is it? Is it that the fragrance is too simple? Not really, because I've been gravitating more and more towards simple scents, and Arso, one of my fragrance options, is objectively a very simple scent. Yet that one there has a lot of complexities, which this one here might be lacking maybe. I'm not really sure. All I know is that this kind of comes across as a little bit cheap. It doesn't come across as its price tag. And I have nothing against cheap fragrances, it's just not evoking anything in me. It's not making me excited. It's beautiful. I like it, but it's not as thrilling as something like this one here. And again, I'll be featuring this in my options, but this one, when I put it on, when I smell it, I get excited. This is really fascinating. And I'm not sure if it's the naturals in here. I'm not sure what it is, but this is really, really great. Anyway, going back to Bois Marocain, let's talk about the practicality, starting off with performance. The longevity of this is really not that great. I get maybe 4, 5, maybe 6 hours if I really stretch it, if I really douse myself in it. And that's kind of underwhelming, especially given the scent profile. I have other fragrances which are somewhat similar, which last a lot more. Again, Arso. Even the same Melinka by 432 is much more longer lasting. This one here is really not that great. It is bright, it's very fresh, it's very perfumey, so maybe there's something there. Still, a little bit more staying power would have been awesome. The wear curve is also not that great. It wears in a little bit of a messy manner. When you first spray it on, it's beautiful. You have a beautiful sillage, beautiful projection. It's not super loud, not too shouty. It just comes across as well balanced, I guess. You put it on and it's exactly what you would expect. This is more of a subtle elegance type of scent. And if this was super loud, the scent profile of this could be a little bit weird. It could be a little bit too much, especially given how woody and realistic it is. But it's the drop off of the scent profile, the drop off of the projection itself, which feels super messy. When you first spray this on, the sillage is really great. It's so enveloping, so comforting, and then it just falls off a cliff. And after about 1 hour, you're left with barely a skin scent, and then you're done. It's so bad, in fact, that it almost feels like a fake. It almost feels like a fake copy. And I really want to underline that this is 100% real. It feels so miscalculated. It doesn't feel cared for. And I think that this is actually the underwhelming part of this for me. I don't like products which feel abandoned, which feel not well designed. And something like this, deemed and priced as a luxury product featuring such a bad and uncared for wear experience, really kills any enthusiasm. Every time I put this on, every time I wear it, I feel deceived. I'm initially very excited and then I'm just left wondering, confused. Every time I put this on, I'm like, wow, why don't I wear this fragrance more? Where was this all this time? And then I'm just left waiting. It's such a bad feeling. It really leaves a sour taste in your mouth. So I guess it's that. That is the missing piece in this fragrance. Anyway, continuing on to versatility and use cases, this is actually very, very wearable, very likable, very mass appealing. It comes across as unique. It has a little bit of an edge. No one is going to be smelling like wood in this way, while still coming across as serious and perfumey. The scent profile, I really want to underline the fact that the scent profile of this is excellent. It's so versatile, so wearable, day to night, casual to elegant. It just comes across as like a well put together lumberjack. It's really cool. It's one of the best wood representations that I've ever smelled. It's that good, that realistic. It's really balanced, and so much so that you can probably even wear this to the gym. I have. It gives you a lot of power and makes you feel like a rugged, old school lumberjack. It's super, super cool, super fun, yet being sophisticated and classy. This is everything that a Tom Ford should be when it comes to scent profile wise. Again, they should really work on the presentation and on the overall wear experience though. When it comes to demographics, this comes across as a little bit more stereotypically masculine. It does indeed have that lumberjack vibe, which is very, very fun. It's very cool, yet it has a little bit of sophisticated Tom Ford in there. If you want to smell like a tree, like a realistic tree, but want a more unisex take, I would suggest something like Zoologist Chipmunk. It has the same beautiful resinous woodiness, yet it comes across as much more abstract, more narrative, and much more fun and friendly. This one here is still Tom Ford. This is originally, I think, as part of the brand vision, designed for a man in the suit. And it kind of has that vibe. And this also transfers to the age. This is not a youthful fragrance. It's fun. If you can embrace that lumberjack personality, you could potentially pull this off. But this comes across as more mature, more experienced, a little bit more rugged. And guys in their younger age just are not rugged enough. You know, you have to, I'm not necessarily saying you have to have a beard to pull this off, but you have to have a beard presence, if you get my gist. When it comes to imagery and narration, the fragrances by Tom Ford are not the greatest, but they're not the worst either. Some of them depict a very simple and straightforward image, which is very vivid, specifically Oud Mineral. I really like how it really brings you to this Northern Europe coast with the wind, with the sea, with the salt water, with the driftwood. It's super cool and extremely evocative, really, really calming. This is a fragrance that could have been that, but I'm not really getting anything from the name. Bois Marocain, Moroccan forest. There's really not much in there. Unless I'm missing a specific type of tree, this is just generically woody. And it's not a bad thing, but still, it doesn't really give me any specific image. This smells like a lumberjack, it smells like a sawmill, but everything is a little bit cartoonish. It's realistic, but it's depicted in such a simple way. It's really not making me go into that scene. I can still decipher the type of image it's trying to convey, but the image itself is very blurry, it's lacking resolution, and it's lacking details. All I can say is that it's a forest or it's a sawmill, but it's very simple and straightforward. It feels like a watercolor painting with no outlines, no nothing. It feels a little bit blurry. I'm not complaining too much. A fragrance like this doesn't necessarily have to be super narrative, but it could have been so much more. If you want to wear this, you can easily push it into the background. It can be your daily scent. It can be almost a signature scent. I really like the scent profile. If this lasted longer and had a better wear experience, I probably could signature scent it. But it's just lacking a little bit of definition, a little bit of clarity. I feel that this product overall has been slightly half-baked. That's kind of my impression of this, and it's so sad to hear, especially from a beloved brand of mine, which is Tom Ford. But now let me give you some options for my reviewed fragrance. In the case of Bois Marocain, I really wanted to go for very realistic woody vibes, some stuff that has a similar scent profile that I like so much. As I mentioned before, I would be featuring 423's Melinka. This is absolutely amazing. This is probably the best fragrance in this scent profile that I've ever tried till now. This is inspired by Patagonia. This is a Patagonia narrative fragrance, and it really brings you there. It brings you to these plains, these windy plains with shrubs shrubs, with greenery, with a lot of wilderness. It smells amazing. It really combines all of those aspects that I've been talking about. It has beautiful balsamic green notes at the top, which are so energizing, so invigorating. The base has this beautiful woody incense. The scent overall is incredible. As I mentioned before, unfortunately, this is a limited edition by a very, very niche house, which doesn't even ship to Europe. I've sent them a couple emails. They don't even reply. I've kind of lost hope. It's unfortunate because I would probably buy out their stock of this. It's not that expensive. It's only 30 mLs and it runs about $100. So I think it's reasonable, especially considering how good and unique it smells. It's actually also very, very long lasting, and the bottle design itself is almost worth the price. Absolutely amazing stuff. If you happen to go to Chile, get yourself a 423. They also have another fragrance, which again, I would be happy to buy, but they don't answer. So that's kind of an issue. I really, really like this fragrance, and I'll be probably wearing it after this video just because it's so beautiful. And every time I pick up the bottle, I'm like, I should wear this more. I am a little bit protective of this because it is, as I said before, a limited edition. And once this is gone, it's gone. So I need to be very, very careful. The second fragrance I want to showcase, I also already spoiled before. This one here is Arso by Profumum Roma. I have a full review out for this. It's absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite woody fragrances out there. And Profumum Roma is actually solidifying itself as one of my favorite brands. They have such a unique approach to fragrances. They just don't care. They don't care to conform. They just do their own thing. And these fragrances wear in such a specific, unique manner. The products by Profumum Roma come across as deceptively simple. The fragrances themselves are pretty much based on one ingredient, one note, one concept, and one smell. And when you first get your nose on these, you might even be underwhelmed because they are very, very straightforward, very easy to understand. But the more you wear these, the more they come alive, the more they show their true face, the more you get the details and the fine nuances in here. These are spectacular fragrances. They're so high quality, so rich. And again, they wear like nothing else on the market. They're insanely high oil concentration. They're basically 40%, and they just stick on your skin and never evolve, never transition, blasting you with a tsunami of resolution, giving you access to waves of details with almost impossible depth. Looking at this under a microscope, you would still be able to pick out layers and complexities. Absolutely incredible stuff. Arso is basically the ultimate depiction of a pine forest next to Rome, the one that is between Rome and the sea. It's basically a combination of incredibly dry air, dry woods. You feel and you hear the cicadas. Everything is enveloped in this beautiful summer forest environment. It's incredible. It's so evocative. I grew up in Rome, and this thing immediately transports me to that place. It transports me to the suffocating heat of summer and me trying to escape this heat somehow in this pine forest. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. One of the most beautiful and evocative fragrances in my collection. My last fragrance option is not super popular, and it's really not even in the same ballpark scent profile-wise, yet it kind of is because it is a beautiful representation of a woody scent. This one here is Santal Oriental by Ghaliya. Ghaliya is an uber niche house from Australia which really focuses on high-quality natural ingredients. This is pretty much the ultimate rendition of sandalwood, like a pure sandalwood scent. The sandalwood in here comes across as incredibly complex, so nuanced. It's similar to Arso in a way because there's more to look at, more above the initial smell. It's so specific. It has a little bit of an animalic funky component. There's a lot of savoriness. There's a little bit of saltiness. It smells incredible. Every time I put this on, every time I give this a full wear, I'm immediately reminded of the incredible importance of high quality raw materials. Ghaliya knocks it out of the park with this when it comes to sandalwood. They actually kind of remind me of Arijoadore and Bortnikov. They treat the natural components, the natural raw materials with such respect. They really showcase everything about them. These fragrances are not even fragrances per se. They're almost odes to a natural component, a natural ingredient. They come across as very sophisticated and elegant, very nuanced, but they're not evocative. They're not designed to be a fragrance. They're not designed to be a perfume. They do last long, they project decently, and they're absolutely amazing, but you have to be a little bit more experienced. You have to know exactly what you're looking for. In this case specifically, you have to be into sandalwood. And these fragrances, especially given the high quality, are priced pretty competitively. This one here is a 25 ml bottle, which retails for about 60, 70 bucks or something along those lines, which is really not bad, especially considering how rich this scent is. Beautiful stuff. Give it a go because it's so worth it. But back to Tom Ford Bois Marocain for my final recommendations and overview. Do I recommend this scent? Let's talk about that in a bit. Do I like this scent? Yes, I very much like it. I really like the scent profile, especially when initially sprayed. That beautiful realistic woody core combines with the green fresh tops and the incense base to create something quite magical, yet fleeting. Unfortunately, this scent overall comes across as a little bit half-baked. The scent profile is absolutely amazing, but the wear experience feels left to chance. That is something that I really cannot accept and I cannot recommend. Unless you have a ton of Tom Fords, unless you're a mega fan of the brand, unless this is like your ultimate scent profile, I would kind of pass on this. I wouldn't even say it's worth sampling because there's other stuff on the market which hits on the same notes but is so much better. Namely Zoologist Chipmunk, namely Profumum Roma Arso, and obviously the Melinka 423 is amazing, but that's pretty much impossible to find. Overall, Tom Ford with this one has let me a little bit down. I still love the brand. It's still the brand that really got me into fragrances. I'll never forget the first time I smelled ombre leather. That fragrance had such a profound effect on me. It left me completely mind blown, almost to a perspective changing degree. I would even say that without ombre leather, this YouTube channel wouldn't exist. So I guess thank you. This one here, not so much. It just happens to have a scent profile which I'm very compatible with, that I'm very keen on. But other than that, it's fairly mediocre. It's nothing to write home about. It actually feels a little bit cheap, especially for the asking price. So I would just say skip it unless this sounds exactly like your thing and unless you can find it for a steal. I would say this is not worth your time and it's definitely not one of the best Tom Ford releases. I've tried various from the private line. I have to try many more. I've tried some recently that I really like, namely Black Lacquer. I actually really want that. But unfortunately, Tom Ford, if you're not quick enough, the products get discontinued and they're basically forgotten and impossible to get. I actually think that this one here is discontinued. Anyway, Tom Ford is a cool brand. I think they have a ton of potential. I really like the brand itself. I really like the guy, and I know he's not connected to the brand anymore, but his identity, his persona is still there. They have a lot of resources. They have a lot of potential to create super interesting products, and I still believe that to this day, they're one of the only designers that puts out unique smelling and kind of creative products. Even today, super cool stuff. They could do a lot more though. Overall, Bois Marocain is a good product, but it could have been so amazing. It could have been truly a great one. The scent profile is amazing, but the wear experience leaves you a little bit wanting. I'll probably be moving on from this, probably selling it or trading it. Have you tried this scent? Leave a comment down below with your experiences and your opinions. I still think that Tom Ford is a cool brand and I will be willing to give them a chance. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and it helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. It's never taken for granted. Many more fun reviews to come, many more fun products to showcase. I'm very excited. See you in the next one and cheers.